What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review, of Family or Fiancé. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. So this is season 1, episode 13. We have LaShonda and Dre. Look, y'all. This is an episode where I really don't understand what the issue was. I understand what the issue was on the groom side. I don't understand what the issue was on the bride side so much. And really the biggest issue on the groom side, it seemed to me, was between the best friend and the fiance. But we'll get there. And this ain't gonna take long because it just wasn't really a whole lot. For me, it wasn't really a whole lot with this one. That's probably why this review took so long, because it just wasn't a whole lot with it. Dre is a celebrity DJ, okay? And, they were like, this wedding is like, it's in high demand. Everybody wants to come for this wedding because he's traveled. He's DJ he had some top artists that he's traveled the world, and LaShonda already has 2 daughters and he wants to adopt them. And so her family was concerned about the situation with the kids, about him adopting her daughters and cutting the father out and what that relationship looked like. But in my opinion, that's not y'all business. That's not y'all's business. That's between her, him, and the father of those children. It's not yours. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't understand why that was a reason to be concerned about them getting married. And, I just don't know. Is he really committed to those girls? That's a different statement. But to say that you're worried about what the father's role is going to be future, that's not y'all's business. And I didn't feel like that was their place to really get involved in that. LaShonda and her father seem to have an up and down relationship. LaShonda seems to be the type, she seemed like she was a wild child, did what she wanted to do. She talked crazy. She's got a really bad temper. Again, let that be the reason. But I just felt like that reason wasn't that deep. Now on the other side, it seemed like the biggest concern on the other side was the fact that LaShonda has a really short temper, and that they've gotten into some really weird, not weird, but some fights and stuff like that. And the best friend Brandon, I ain't like Brandon. Brandon made some very disparaging statements about LaShonda's children, saying one is really pretty and the other one has a good personality. Y'all know what the hell that means. That is code word for she ugly. Oh, she's got a great personality. See, and what happened was LaShonda overheard the conversation, and in that moment, Dre didn't check him. And so she took it out on Brandon, but she was really mad at Dre. Because in that moment, you check Dre. You see, you can't control what Brandon going to say out of his mouth. But Dre can control what he allows Brandon to say around him. I'm going to tell this quick story, and we're going to move on. My mom always tells me this story about when her and my dad first got married. Now, mind you, my parents been married for 50-something years. They've been married since they were teenagers. And my mom said that my father had one of his best friends over to the house one night. This when they first got married. Didn't even have any kids yet. And they got to talking. You know how people get to talking. And his friend got to cussing. See, my dad doesn't cuss. Well, in that moment. Didn't cuss around my mom. He still don't really cuss around my mother. He slipped up a few times, but he don't just be like, yo, these mother effers, mother. Like, he don't talk like that around my mom. And he told his friend, he was like, I'm going to need you to watch your language around my wife. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. They got to talking. The man got to cussing again. My father said, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm not going to disrespect my wife. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Now, did that end their friendship? Mm-mm. And at the end of the day, my father used the same language that this man was using. He just didn't use it in front of my mother. And he asked his friend to be respectful of the fact that he didn't talk like that in front of his wife. Now, my mother said that she had heard my father talking like that amongst his friends, but not in front of her. And so I say that story. Now, this was his best friend. And they didn't stop being friends. He just couldn't come back to the house. And I feel like that was the situation with Dre and with Brandon. It's like, look, you are going to respect. I can't control how you feel about my woman. I can't control how you feel about her children. I can control what you feel comfortable saying in front of me. And that was really where her anger was that she felt like Brandon didn't respect that. And when it came up where they addressed each other in the moment, and it came up in the moment, Brandon was very dismissive of it. Like, I mean, all right, whatever. All right, yeah, I shouldn't have said it. All right, fine, whatever. I'm tired. All right, whatever. I mean, either, do you accept my apology or not? And she was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not going to, like, you don't mean that. And you know, when somebody apologizes like that, they don't mean it. And he said, well, I mean, I meant it when I said it, but I'm just tired of talking about it. You know, this keeps coming up and I'm tired of talking about it. Which means that she doesn't trust that you meant it. She doesn't trust that you really meant what you said. Now, let me be clear. LaShonda got some stuff with her too, because LaShonda was talking to everybody in there like they was crazy, including her father. And Brandon had a problem with that too. Brandon said, did you hear how she was talking to her father? He said, see, that's not cool. You don't talk to your parents. I don't care how mad you get at your parents, and I don't care, but you don't talk to your parents that way. You don't talk to your family that way. And I got a problem with that. Again, Brandon, that's not your place to have a problem with that. That is between her dad, and if Dre has a problem with it, you don't get to have an opinion about how she treats her father. You can feel the way you feel, but that's the reason why you feel like they shouldn't get married. Now, I understood his reasoning was, well, if she could disrespect her father, you know, how she gonna come at you crazy like that too? And they even actually had a moment where it got to the point where he was like, well, maybe we shouldn't get married. She's like, well, maybe we shouldn't. And I was like, ooh. I said, are we going to have our first, like, breakup in the middle? Like, we've seen at the end, but, like, in the middle of the episode, while they still going through the therapy, but they had a moment. They cried together. They hugged each other out, and it was a good moment. Now, let's get to these exercises. Because Dre is this celebrity DJ, she said you need to talk to her family and let her family know what are your long-term plans. Like, what you know, you're not gonna be a celebrity DJ forever. What is it that you see building their future moving forward? And then on the other side, they wanted to, you know, do the questions, ask the questions, and get to know her a little bit better. So ultimately, I don't feel like there was that big of a conflict. Once, I really didn't hear a whole lot of a 5-year plan coming from Dre. They really talked more about the adoption situation and how they felt about, they said, well, you know, we think it's kind of messed up. I feel like they have a relationship with the father. Well, it's kind of messed up that you would want to take his kids without his consent and this, that, and the other. Now, I'm not a lawyer and I don't know anything about adoption laws and stuff like that, but I feel like if the father is there and the father is active in their lives and the father is paying support and doing all he's supposed to be doing, it's not just that easy to come in and adopt somebody's kids. Like, there has to be some sort of consent unless you've given up your rights. Now, y'all correct me in them comments and y'all let me know. But if that father is active and he's a part of his children's lives and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, he can't just swoop in and take his kids. Now, again, I didn't go to nobody's law school, but y'all let a sister know if a sister got it wrong. Now, next up, we have, on the other side, they were doing the 20 questions, and her temper came up. And she said, look, I'm a work in progress. You know, I'm a work in progress. And again, it came down to Brandon and his relationship with Dre and how LaShonda felt about it. There was another conversation that LaShonda overheard where Brandon was talking to Dre about the relationship in reference to how she spoke to her father, and I already kind of talked about that. So LaShonda, when they went back to therapy, LaShonda was like, look, I can't do this. He doesn't respect me. You allow him to disrespect me, and this isn't going to work for me. And what it basically came down to, she sort of gave him an ultimatum, but I don't feel like she, well, yes, she did. Because she said, I don't want him in the wedding. You know, I don't want him around. This is how he's going to feel about me. And this is how, you know, like, I'm not going to be disrespected. And I can understand that. So when they were going around the room to get their approval, everybody gave them approval to get married. But then Dre basically told Brandon, we've hit the end of the road. Like, it's been real. I love you. We've been friends for a long time. But this is where you go left and I go right. And he was crying and he was upset, and it was really, really heartfelt. Even to the point where LaShondra tried to stop him and said, you don't have to do this. Because she saw, and it was almost like the story of Solomon. Is it Solomon's baby? Y'all know, y'all gonna correct me in them comments, honey. I'm gonna get it wrong. Y'all gonna correct me. But it was almost as if to say, okay, this was a test to see if you really were going to make this man stop being friends with his best friend. And she tried to stop him and say, look, you don't have to do this. And he said, no, because there's nothing in this world I love more than you. But what we found out is that they did get married. Brandon was invited to the wedding. He was allowed to take place in the wedding, and that they are working on building their relationship. So I'd like to see it. Again, this ain't a long one because it wasn't a whole lot to it, y'all. Like I said, I don't feel like the two of them had as big of an issue with each other so much as the family dynamics. Like her and her dad probably need to be in some sort of therapy. The whole situation with Brandon. And like I said, she was taking her anger out at Brandon on Dre, because she felt like Dre should have had her back and he didn't. And I think in that moment, she finally realized he really will stand up for me. And he will sacrifice a relationship that he's had his whole life for me. So, wishing them well. I hope we have positive things when we do the follow-up. We do the where are they now type of situation. And y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.